Officials joining us. It's just gone 9:30 and time for us to start the Parliamentary Oversight Committee meeting on the 5th of June. Ms. Kamish Ahmed, are we happy to start?
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, we are.
Thank you very much. Once again, a very warm welcome to all the members, officials, and as well as any members of the public. And a special welcome to the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Acting Secretary of the WCPP, as well as all officials. As indicated, this virtual meeting is to get a briefing on the Western Cape Appropriations Bill, and that's due to the retabling of the National Minister's budget. So provinces have had to adjust their budgets via appropriations bills, and to make sure that we are in compliance with both the Money Bills Amendment Procedure Act as well as the PFMA. We will be getting an updated briefing on any changes, if there were any, to this vote. The only thing that I know that have changed so far is the bill number. But I'm going to ask committee members to just go around and introduce themselves.
Morning, everyone. I'm Benedicta van Minnen. I'm a member of this committee.
Good morning,
Chairperson.
member of the committee.
Good morning, Chairperson. I'm Member Boyson. I'm an alternate member, and I'm standing in for Member Kaiser Philander.
Good morning, Chairperson and colleagues. It's Basil Pietras.
Greetings to all. Greetings to all. My name is Dwayne Jacobs. I'm a member of this committee.
Good morning. I'm Leon van Wyk. I am a member of the WCPP.
Are those all the members? I don't see anybody else.
I'm not sure if you heard me, Chair. I'm Ayanda Barnes, a member of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all the members. Good morning, Honourable Barnes. I'm now going to hand over to the Speaker and or Deputy Speaker just to introduce themselves and also introduce their delegation.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, all members serving on POC. I'm Regan Allen, the Deputy Speaker. I will allow the Acting Secretary to then introduce all of the administration members online. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Good morning, Chair. Good morning to the members, Deputy Speaker and colleagues. My name is Lubabalo Stemele. I'm the Acting Secretary and also the Director of Parliamentary Support Services. I'll request the SMT members to introduce themselves and the managers around. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, Deputy Speaker and members. I'm Sunal Foucher, Public Engagement.
Good morning, Chair, members and colleagues. Vernon Titus, Institutional Enablement.
Good morning, Chair, members. I'm Margot Goldstone, Director for Strategy and Institutional Oversight.
Good morning, Chair and members. Nicole Peterson, Chief Financial Officer.
Good morning, members. James Retief, Manager, Stakeholder Management and Communications Services.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Dawo Jowdin, Manager Finance.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Usman Alexander, Supply Chain Management.
Good morning, Chair and members. Zinzinigelo, Manager Financial Control.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chair and members. Temba Keso, Manager Public Education and Outreach. Thank you.
Morning, Chairperson. Temba Nolusu, Manager Safety, Security and Precinct Management, including Sergeant at Arms. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson and members. Mario Sassman, Manager Committee Support. Thank you.
Morning, Chair and members. Kobe Stricker, Manager ICT.
Good morning, Chair and members. Caroline Prakasam, Manager People Management.
Good morning, Genevieve Ackham, Manager, Office of the Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. That's all on the side of the money of the administration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we're just going to get right into it then. We're going to get a briefing or introductory remarks from either the Speaker or Deputy Speaker, as well as the Acting Secretary, on any changes to Vote 2 in the Western Cape Appropriation Bill. I see the Speaker has just joined us. Mr. Speaker, we've just done introductions. Are you able to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, Chair, and good morning, colleagues and honourable members. My name is Taylor Mitchell, and I'm the Speaker of Parliament. Chair, I'm not going to make any introductory remarks, as the budget has remained exactly the same as previously tabled or presented to the committee and deliberated. So I think we can get straight into it.
Thank you very much. Members, so nothing has changed in terms of the allocations for Vote 2. And I don't see any members of the public online. Ms. Kamish Ahmed, do you know if anybody outside of the WCPP has joined or had any questions in terms of the adverts that were put out?
Chairperson, there is no public present. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, do you have any questions on the appropriations for Vote 2? I see no hands. Members, can I then ask, do we have support for the vote? I see Member Van Minen and then Member Barnes.
Would just like to say that I propose that we adopt it.
Thank you very much. Member Barnes.
Thank you, Chair. Using my Rule 90 minority view, we are not supporting the budget. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kamish Ahmed, is it possible for us to pop the draft report on the screen?
Okay, I'm an MPL. I'm an MPL, so after deductions, you know, our tax is about
sorry, Member Jacobs.
When they take out.
Thank you very much. We're all MPLs. And we're busy adopting a report at the moment. So members, I'm just going to read into the record the report, and it says it's the report of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee on Vote 2 Provincial Parliament in the schedule to the Western Cape Appropriation Bill B4 of 2025, dated 5 June. The Parliamentary Oversight Committee, having considered the subject of Vote 2 Provincial Parliament in the schedule to the Western Cape Appropriation Bill B4 of 2025, referred to it in accordance with Standing Rule in accordance with Standing Rule 188, reports that it supports the vote. In accordance with Standing Rule 90, the African National Congress expressed its minority view not to support the vote. Colleagues, can I have a proposer and a seconder for the adoption of that report?
I propose, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Bryant. I see Honourable Van Minen, your hand is up.
I second.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, that then deals with the report for the support of the budget. We are now going to move on to a briefing by the Western Cape Provincial Parliament on the fourth quarter performance, and that's both financial and non-financial. I'm going to hand over to our colleagues from the WCPP.
Thank you very much, Chair. Once again, we can get straight into it. So I'm going to hand over to the CFO and Mr. Jawardine to deal with the financials, and Ms. Goldstone for the non-financials. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, through your chair, if I may.
Please go ahead, Mr. Jawardin.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sharing the presentation on the WCPP fourth quarter IYMO expenditure report as at the end of March 2025, which is effectively the end of the 24-25 financial year. Of the adjusted budget of 258 million and 70,000, we had at the end of March, which is the end of financial year and the fourth quarter, spent 239 million 600,000, including direct charges, which is a 92.84% spend. We are effectively underspend on our vote, and excluding direct charge, which in terms of section 23(4) of AMPLA is the underspending on direct charge is paid back to the provincial revenue fund. On our voted funds, we had a 16.7 million underspend on there. However, section 23(1) of AMPLA does allow the speaker, or does say that Parliament does not pay back any of the roll of its underspend of the year, and we do roll over that underspend. It has been approved by the speaker on the 22nd of May. So our underspend for the year of 16.7 million had been approved for rollover for identified projects into the MTF. Just to highlight specific reasons for the slow expenditure or underspend. The main reason for that, Chair, I'll maybe highlight specific ones in a different slides, but the main reasons for the underspend in the 24-25 year is due to vacant posts, as well as the later than anticipated or non-completion of once-off projects, as well as allowances which were planned to be spent in the financial year. That's a summary on the vote as a whole. Then on program one, of program one's budget of 99,273,000, we spent 87,040,000, which is a 87.68% spend. If I can maybe just touch on to you, Chair, just the percentages that it's a bit lower than what we would have spent. With regards to legal services, there's 89% spend there, and that's due to the fact that there was a less than anticipated legal fee costs that came through for the year. With regards to strategy and organizational performance, there's a 84% spend there, and there's the main reason for that spend is vacant posts in that particular sub-program and less than anticipated cost for strategic planning sessions. With regards to the people management unit, the 88.36% spend there is mainly due to vacant posts, as well as the less than anticipated expenditure on training interventions. The biggest variance, if I can look at the program one, is under information technology and digital services. They only spent 68.1% of that budget, and the main reason for that is the fact that in the financial year under review, we had a 6.5 million budget set aside for the initiation of the chamber and committee rooms AV upgrade. However, that project wasn't finalized or had not been initiated in the financial year. That has been rolled over into this current financial year, and it is currently in the procurement process to be initiated. So that 6.5 million, which is the main reason for that slow expenditure there, has been rolled over as committed funds into this financial year. Other reason for the slow expansion in that particular sub-program is also the upgrade of the SAGE program, which is also committed funds, which is being finalized in the current financial year. If I look at security services, there's a 60.54% spend there, and the main reason for that is we pay for the SAP static security services, where we pay on a claims basis when SAPs do submit us claims for the static security services. However, over 800,000 budget for that in that particular financial year, we'd hardly spend more than 100,000, so there was quite a bit of underspend on that, which has been rolled over into further years to accommodate any influx of invoices and claims received for that. Because like I said, with the invoice or claims received for that services sometimes come through 6-7 months later. So we had rolled over savings for this particular sub-program into the current and out year budget. With regards to program 2 of the 24,076,000 budget, we spent 21,666,000, which is just a shade less than 90%. If I can, the reason for, if I can maybe just cover all of them in one, the reason for plenary standing committees and so it's lower than expansion what we would have wanted is the fact that in this financial year under review was the financial year where we transitioned from the 6th to the 7th Parliament. So committee activity within the year was less than what it would have been in a normal year, and that's the reason for the spend in this particular year being less than what it would normally have been in a normal parliamentary year. With regards to program 3, this program was fairly on track with the expenditure. The slower than expenditure, the one sub-program which is not 100% or close to 100% under, which is stakeholder management and communication services. That's mainly due to committed funds for projects which were planned for during the year but not finalized. And one example is the 6th Parliament legacy publication, which is in the process of being finalized in this year, and the funds for that has been rolled over into this financial year. Program 4, of the 63,319,000, we spent 61,761,000, which is a 97.5% spend there. The main slow expense or underspend in this particular program is under members enabling allowances, which is demand driven, and also due to the fact, similar to committees, due to the fact that this year was a transitional year from the 6th to the 7th Parliament, the claims were less than what would normally have been in a normal parliamentary year. But however, like as mentioned, the members enabling allowance are paid as and when claims are received, so that is demand driven. Then finally, program 5, direct charges, which is the purely members' salaries, that we spend just less than 97% of the 54,925,000. The main reason for that is our budgeted increase for member salaries was less than what was approved, as well as we paid out less exit gratuities due to the transition from the 6th to the 7th Parliament than what we had budget for. So due to that, we had underspending on this particular program. And like as mentioned, as required by Section 23(4) of AMPLA, the saving is actually paid back to the Provincial Revenue Fund. And Chair, through you, that's in summary the expenditure update as at the end of the 4th quarter, as at the end of the financial year as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawadin. Members, do you have any questions on the presentation and the input made by Mr. Jawadin? I don't see any hands. Just asking again. Colleagues, are there any questions? Member Bryant?
Thanks, Chair. Chair, it's just with regards to the issue in terms of SAPs and the claims and the repayments. I know we raised this at one of the previous meetings. I do think that perhaps in the resolution section of our meeting, we can resolve to have a proper presentation on that and the state of security services in the parliamentary precinct as a whole, because I do think that there is a need to tighten that up a little bit, and for us to get a full briefing and have a proper Q&A. So I don't know if I necessarily need a response right now, aside from, possibly, the thoughts in terms of that briefing from the officials, but that's my input there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Bryant. I think we'll couple that with a presentation from the security unit within Parliament to also better understand sort of what that unit does and how it collaborates with SAPs and other security agencies. It's just sort of something else that came up in another committee. Members, any other questions? I see no other hands. I'm just checking from the speaker. The Deputy Speaker, do you have any input before we move on to the next presentation?
No, Chair, just we can get hand over to Ms. Goldstone to take us through the next part of the presentation, but absolutely I take note of Honourable Brian's comments, and we'll do the presentation at the next opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ms. Goldstone. I'm going to pass the baton over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Speaker, and morning again, members. So, Chair, this is the report on the non-financial performance for the 4th quarter of 24-25. I'll move straight to the institutional highlights for the quarter. Under strategic priority number 1, building a credible WCPP, institutional highlights for the 4th quarter would have included the hosting of the State of the Province Address and official opening of the legislature in Beaufort West during the month of February, followed by the Provincial Budget Day in March. The administration also undertook further engagements with GTAC at National Treasury on the planned performance and expenditure review for the WCPP, which I think we did brief the committee briefly on at a prior occasion. And we seem to be making good progress with GTAC in this regard. On priority 2, improving and expanding services and the experiences of the people of the Western Cape, which focuses largely on public education and engagement. A number of public education workshops were hosted, but quite significantly in this quarter, we held a petitions roadshow, which was a virtual workshop aimed at educating and informing participants on the WCPP's petitions procedure. So that was an interesting development for the WCPP in the quarter. Under strategic priority 3, strengthening the core business. In quarter 4, the main focus would have been on committee scrutiny and processing of the budget votes. Oversight visits to the Central Karoo district were also undertaken by the standing committees in the service delivery and social clusters. Under strategic priority 4, strengthening support to legislators. Members will be aware that we undertook, the administration administered an annual member survey to solicit input from members on the service and the support that we rendered to members as the administration. The outcome of that survey for 24-25 is an overall satisfaction rating of 87%. This is a bit higher than in the previous year, and in both years, we've managed to retain a satisfaction score above the 80%, which we targeted for the year. Then, Chairperson, on to the summary of performance against targets. So there were 22 indicators and targets due to be met by quarter 4. 19 out of the 22 were met and 3 were not, resulting in an overall achievement level of 86% for the quarter and also for the year. So here we have, in the next slide, we have the breakdown of the areas where there has been underachievement. Under the sub-program Office of the Secretary, 86% of the annual APP targets were met compared to what we had targeted, which was 96%. And the 86 is actually an improvement on last year's performance, where we achieved 84% of our APP targets, but it's still below the 96% that we had set for the year. Under the sub-program on financial management, only 50% of actions that management had committed to were indeed implemented in the year. So were completed by quarter 4, by the due dates that we had agreed to with internal audit. So these actions, management actions, arose from audits and follow-up audits that internal audit has conducted on the WCPP. And the delays in implementation of these actions relate to primarily 3 areas. The one is business continuity, cybersecurity, as well as social media engagement. Still on the non-achievements, the final one is in relation to our compliance with the Critical Infrastructure Protection Act. So on an annual basis, the National Key Points undertakes an assessment of the National Key Points officers, of which the WCPP would be one, and identifies areas of compliance or non-compliance with the Act. The areas for improvement that were identified in the current year relate to 4 matters. The first is perimeter protection. So a need was identified for patrols and monitoring activities within the concourse to be strengthened. Another area is access control as it relates to the basement parking. Also identified was egress control, so the need for exit search protocols to be introduced at the 7 Whale Street exit. And then finally, a need was also identified for ongoing training of the SAPS officials on the CCTV equipment and software. So that summarizes the non-achievement for quarter 4. I think the next slide just gives the breakdown of that performance, and we can see that the underachievement is confined to program 1. The next section of the presentation details the performance for quarter 4 by program. And here we're just highlighting the achievements, so only the achievements. Under program 1, governance, leadership and administration, under the sub-program on the Office of the Speaker, all prescribed legislative obligations in terms of FAMPLA were fully complied with in Q4. So these would have included tabling of the financial and non-financial performance reports, tabling of the MTEF budget and the APP in Q4. Under the sub-program on Office of the Secretary, similarly, all prescribed reporting requirements required of the accounting officer were 100% complied with. I did speak to the target on member satisfaction, where we exceeded the target there, 80% versus 87%, which was achieved. Still on Program 1, under the sub-program Institutional Enablement, we had set a target that 100% of the initiatives we had planned for the year needed to have been concluded by Q4. Initiatives under institutional enablement, so these are functional strategies like HR strategy, the IT digitization strategy, and the knowledge management strategy. And all initiatives that were planned for Q4 in terms of the implementation plans were indeed rolled out as planned. So under IT digitization, some of the key activities there would have included user acceptance testing of the ERP system, also implementation of the SOC and SIEM, which you can see on the screen now, which is part of strengthening our cybersecurity capability. On HR, we concluded a draft culture journey strategy. I think we also alluded to that process in a previous presentation. Then on knowledge management, we concluded enhancements of the intranet as well as work on the electronic registry. In terms of Program 2, Parliamentary Support Services, all targets were 100% achieved. They include the publication of the digest of rulings, tracking of House resolutions, ensuring that House papers are electronically available at 100% as projected, that all committee reports, draft committee reports, are produced in line with standards as set in the standard operating procedures, that the tracking of committee decisions happens also at 100% level. And so all of the Program 2 targets were met the required standard, which is 100%. Under Program 3, Public Engagement, here as well, all targets were met. Under the sub-program Stakeholder Management and Communication Services, an additional functionality was added to enhance the information offered to website users. So this is a page on the website where we publish the claims submitted by members and senior officials of the administration, which is now a feature of the website. So that's the additional functionality. By Q4, we also succeeded in increasing the number of posts. So this is what we publish as the WCPP on our social media platforms, especially Facebook and X. And the increase was mainly driven by the number of parliamentary activities that took place over the year, and that created lots of opportunities to profile the WCPP. We also have additional capacity in that area. So in terms of the content we are able to publish, I think we've made significant improvement. 100% of the planned interparliamentary engagement for members were also implemented. So this included regional and international conferences. It also included, I think I've mentioned the regional and international conferences, which would be covered there. Under the sub-program Public Education and Outreach, significant number of public education initiatives implemented. So we exceeded the 24 we had initially targeted, much higher. We reached actually 61 by Q4. And again, this was driven, we were asked to do public education workshops or civic education initiatives by members who perceived the need for this amongst the public. But then we also had workshops. So the workshops are typically tied to events that are part of the parliamentary calendar. So we had many opportunities to inform the public around parliamentary processes through just prompted by the number of events on the calendar. And this was all done by Q4. Also under the sub-program, we established one new strategic partnership with the IEC And the idea with the strategic partnership is that through the partnership, our footprint as the WCPP for public engagement work will be further facilitated and enhanced. We implemented a public engagement initiative. We planned for one, and we indeed did roll out WCPP Engage in Worcester in the Cape Winelands in Q4. And finally, I did mention already the Petitions Roadshow, which was undertaken in the quarter. Finally, under members support, program 4, there was only one target, and this was met. So we made available various opportunities for training and development of members, and this would have included CPA training, internal training sessions, and so on. Priorities for the quarter, administratively being the first year of the new parliamentary term, the focus is very much on fine-tuning our execution of the 5-year strategy, which was developed last year. We obviously will further, this will be a further focus with the appointment of the new secretary from the 1st of July. And then in terms of parliamentary business, clearly a lot of focus on the question of processing of and retabling of provincial budget for the first quarter, this quarter. And that is it, Chair. That concludes the report on non-financial performance for Q4. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Goldstone. Members, any questions from your side? While I wait for your hands, Ms. Goldstone, if I can perhaps ask, you said only 50% of the follow-up internal audit actions were completed by the deadline. And I think you listed the sort of areas accounting for that underachievement as being business continuity, cybersecurity, and social media. Are you able to provide a little bit more detail sort of on the nature of the delays that were encountered in completing those actions plans around those 3 areas? And also maybe highlight some of the measures that are being put in place to make sure that those action plans will be completed in the next quarter.
Chair, I will happily hand over to Mr. Titus, who is actively working on the interventions to actually deliver on these commitments in terms of the internal audit action plans. And they all relate to his area, except for social media. The cybersecurity and business continuity, if Mr. Titus could handle that, and then Ms. Forshire on social media engagement, please.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Thanks, Ms. Goldstone. With regard to the business continuity aspect, there was an audit conducted during the last financial year. Out of that audit, there were 9 particular findings. The findings ranged from most of them within the control environment, from having an approved crisis communication plan, establishing a business continuity committee, around monitoring and reporting to be formalized, etc. So there were 9 findings. By the time that the internal auditors completed the second round, which was in January, which was their follow-up audit, 5 of the findings were already implemented. And by the end of the financial year, the remainder of the 4 outstanding matters in business continuity were implemented as well. So all of those have been completed. I think the reporting was as at the time that the internal auditors had come around in January. Only 5 of the 9 of the business continuity findings were concluded. But as we stand today, Chair, all of them have been completed. Within the cybersecurity space, I think there were 4 aspects that we needed to look at. One of it was to formalize our reporting protocols. That has been concluded. One of it looked at the appointment of a cybersecurity specialist. That had taken us much longer than we had anticipated. We had really struggled through 2 recruitment processes already, advertisements and re-advertisements, And finally, we've opted to follow a different recruitment route now. But part of the findings in that space was linked to the appointment of that particular individual. And one of it was the inclusion of the cybersecurity matters in the job profile of the individual. So since there is no individual, but the performance requirements have already been completed in the job profile. So that is the only one that is outstanding currently, Chair. I hope that assists.
Thank you very much. I don't see any hands from members, so I will go again. Just on the Critical Infrastructure and Protection Act, the compliance thereof, I just wanted to ask, in terms of the training needs that were identified, is it the responsibility of the WCPP to conduct those trainings, or is that the responsibility of SAPS or the various security agencies? And then I see Member Barnes, your hand is up.
Yes, Chair. A quick one, just Chair. I was trying to follow Mr. Titus when he said the advertisement could not work out. That process it didn't work out, so they've opted for a different recruitment process. If Mr. Titus can just enlighten us, what was the different process that was taken? I would appreciate that very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Titus, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll respond to the last question first. We had sought permission from the Speaker, who was the delegated authority, to do headhunting for that particular role. So that is the alternative process that we have followed with a cybersecurity officer role. As far as the NKP matter is concerned, Chair, while the South African Police Services provides the service, the infrastructure for the cybersecurity and the CCTV cameras remains the responsibility and the obligation of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. The software that has been implemented onto the CCTV cameras, that is within the domain of the WCPP, and so we facilitate that specialists within in-house and externally can train the SAPS officials to deal with the software, and so that they are able to use the equipment optimally for the safety and security of everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Titus. Colleagues, are there any other questions?
Chair, sorry, the issue on social media.
Please go ahead, Ms. Fisher.
Thank you very much, Chair, Honourable Chief Whip. The issue yesterday, I actually got my lines crossed a bit with regards to this one, but then I realised afterwards that the issue with this was a website channel for public education and outreach, and that a WhatsApp channel, sorry, and that has subsequently been established. So there is now a WhatsApp channel for public education and outreach where we post things about all our workshops as it happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Barnes, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, on the answer I just got on headhunting, I would presume that it's a process that is still ongoing and not finalized. If maybe we can be given a deadline or a time frame as to when this process will be finalized, that will be helpful also. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Ms. Fisher, Mr. Titus, sorry, there's a request that the committee be kept up to date on the process and when it's finalized as well, if the committee can be informed.
Noted, Chair.
Members, I'm going to just ask for the last time if there are any other questions before we conclude. I see no hands. Acting Secretary and Speaker, do you have any closing remarks before we excuse you?
I have nothing on my side, Chair. I've got nothing on my side, Chair. Thank you.
Nothing to add, Chair, from my side. Just thank you very much to the members and to the administration for the manner in which we could conduct the deliberations today. And as always, if there's anything that you need, we are more than willing to provide the information. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much to you and the Deputy Speaker, as well as all the officials from the WCPP. You are all welcome to leave the meeting, and the members will stay behind just to deal with some of our committee administration, but you're all welcome to go back to work.
Thank you very much.
Do we have to, Chief Whip, do we have to go back to work?
That's up to the acting secretary, but
No, everyone must go back to work, colleagues.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Chair. Bye-bye, members.
Colleagues, we're now going to move on to adopting the report on the quarterly performance. I'm not sure if Mishkamish Ahmed is going to screen that, but it should read the report of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee on the Western Cape Provincial Parliament fourth quarter performance, financial and non-financial, dated 5th June. As follows, the Parliamentary Oversight Committee convened and concluded its deliberation on the Western Cape Provincial Parliament fourth quarter performance, financial and non-financial, referred to it in accordance with Standing Rule 89(1), in accordance with Section 37(6) and 66(2) of the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. The Western Cape Provincial Parliament reported to the committee that no instructions were issued for the period under review. Members, are we able to adopt this report? I see Member Van Minnen.
I'm happy to propose this report.
Thank you very much. I see Member Bryant.
Second.
There we go. Colleagues, that then deals with the report on the quarterly performance. I will now move on to the draft minutes of our meeting of the 2nd of April, and those minutes are being flighted now. If you can just check the minutes to make sure that the attendance reflects your attendance. And in that meeting, we dealt with the first budget. There we go. Colleagues, are there any changes or additions to the minutes that you'd like to flag? I see no hands. Can I now then ask, do we have a proposer for the adoption of the minutes? Member Bryant?
I propose.
Thank you very much. I see Member Van Minnen, you're seconding.
Second.
Thank you very much. The minutes of the 2nd of April is then duly adopted. We'll now move on to the consideration of our draft committee annual activities report. And these documents were also sent to all members. There we go. Colleagues, are there any questions with regards to that report, or are we happy to move to adopt that report? I see no hands. Can I then have a proposer and a seconder for the adoption of our annual activities report? I see Member Van Minnen and I see Member Bryant.
Proposed.
Seconded.
Thank you very much. The draft annual committee activities report is then duly adopted. We've also got the Q3 and Q4 committee reports. And again, members, these were emailed to you, but these just outline our activities for the quarter, including covering things such as attendance and the different resolutions that we took, as well as legislation that we processed. May I have a proposer and a seconder for the adoption of the Q3? Are we doing both, Ms. Kamish Ahmed, or is just one?
There's another one.
There's another one, yeah. So, can I have a proposer and a seconder for this quarterly report for Q3? Member Barnes?
I'm proposing on this one, Chair.
Thank you very much. The adoption is then proposed by Member Barnes. Can I have a seconder? Nobody wants a second, Member Barnes' proposal? Member Barnes?
I second, Chair.
Thank you very much. Member Petrus seconds that. We'll now then move on to Q4. It's again the tracking from January to March. Just a note to members as well, this is also the document that we use to track any resolutions and the responses to those resolutions as well. But this is the one from January to March of 2025. Once again, members, can I have a proposer and a seconder for the adoption of this quarterly report? I see Member van Minen.
I'll propose.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder?
Come on, folks.
I see Member Bryant. Member Bryant is seconding. So that then deals with the draft Q3 and Q4 committee reports. Colleagues, are there any resolutions stemming from the meeting today? Member Petrus?
Yes, Deputy Chairperson, I want to ask a question. Do we need a special intervention now or measures, Chairperson?
Special interventions for?
If there's any underachievement, Chairperson.
I don't think we do. Based on the sort of response to the question that I asked, it seems there were sort of actions in place to remedy some of the shortcomings that were identified by the internal audit. And I think it's also a good thing that it was identified by the internal audit, which means that the AG, when the AG did its audit, was satisfied that the WCPP is doing well. But I do think it's something that we sort of have to keep track of. And we were sort of in a strange period because there was an election and a new parliament started midway through a financial year as well. But it's something that I think, as good parliamentarians, we should monitor. But I don't think any special intervention is required. I also see Member Barnes.
Yes, Chair, maybe it's just a reminder. I want to take off, I think Member Bryant raised the issue on the security service follow-up. Perhaps if we can get a presentation on that. I saw a slide after Member Bryant questioned the issue and said maybe we should take it up as a resolution, where the administration was saying that legislature has been also identified as a national key point, I think, for security, where it needs to be tightened up or strengthened. Maybe if we can get a full presentation, as we all know that, for example, that after 8, you don't have access to go in, and issues of general security around the building. Maybe if we can get a full briefing, because the presentation was trying to capture 1 or 2 things that they are planning to do, but it was not in detail, because I think many times us as members, we are having that question of going in and going out, and also on general security. So I think a presentation will help us so that it can also be coupled with timeframes when we speak to our members, legislature. They also have an understanding, because it's always a thorny point. As chief whips, I think we would agree that members would always come and have issues around entering and going out and security generally. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Vine. So then we will resolve to get a detailed briefing on the security measures in place at the WCPP, including who all the different stakeholders are. We want a breakdown of the protocols for managing the security at the building, vis-a-vis how members enter the building, as well as how members of the public access the building. And we can also couple that with an updated walkabout to look at the security infrastructure and the general sort of health and safety aspects of the building itself, including a review of the security systems, or the CCTV cameras, which I think we did 2 years ago, as well as just a presentation on the emergency evacuation plans for the WCPP and how the fire alarms, etc., operate. Would that cover it, Member Barnes?
Yes, Chair.
Perfect. Colleagues, are there any other resolutions?
No.
Is that a no from you, Member Van Minute?
Sorry, I didn't realize this on unmute.
The perils of working from home. Ms. Kamish Ahmed, is there anything that I've missed?
No, Chairperson, everything is covered. Thank you.
Covered. Members, thank you very much for your time this morning and for attending the meeting. The meeting is thus adjourned, and I wish you a happy Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mm.